Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for making it this far. We are now about to enter the next step of this phase one. So, setting goals and actually achieving them. This one has been, in particular, fun for me because, as I mentioned before, social media, motivation and yada yada yada. Look, I love it. I do just as much as the next person. But the issue is that I will consistently meet talented people, amazing people that are just bustling with joy and charisma and everything. But they're stuck. Just this morning, I bumped into an old client, and he had made amazing progress, and he still is making amazing progress. But it's funny because we've had such a transformation in such a short amount of time, but he's still stuck. And I asked him, "Where are you stuck?" And it wasn't in what I thought it would be. It wasn't like, oh, I can't get a new client. No, actually, he now has way too many clients. The issue is just getting certain content out, right? Getting to the quote unquote next stage, because we already got him through a breakthrough, but now since I haven't talked to him in a while, he's regressed right back to the old thinking of fear, scarcity, etc. And the thing is that this is, at the end of the day, you got to ask better questions. Because as he was asking me, I'm having trouble with this, I'm having trouble with that. The first thing I said is, look, what do you want out of this? And the myth is, I put bitch and you shall receive, because at the end of the day, that's how a lot of people will deal with it. And even if you took offense to that, life goes on. It's a feeling. You'll get over it. The reality is, it's ask and you shall receive. Okay? At the end of the day, thinking with a scarcity mindset, shit happens. I get it. But at the end of the day, right, as I said to you, the tribe that I really connect with the most are those that are looking to tinker and try something. Why? Why are you doing that? At the end of the day, science is that. It's trying something out, you build a hypothesis, try it again, and so on and so on and so on. So something that we're going to be touching on is mental priming. I kind of walked you through some of the process before in the last video, but this video we're definitely going to go a little bit further with mental priming. And if you have heard of NLP, you are familiar with neuro-linguistic programming. Well, there's a little bit more to it than just what you've seen on TV or might have seen something really quickly about on YouTube. And when it also comes down to life will pay you the price you ask of it, shiny object syndrome comes up again. Reason being is when you might not even notice that you have a little bit of a scarcity mindset. Okay? You might actually be convinced that you're a go-getter and that you're going out there, you're seeking opportunities, etc. And there is nothing wrong with having that mentality. In fact, this course is about unlearning certain bad behaviors, certain bad habits, so that you can keep that going. Again, it's about stripping certain things down and scaling everything that works. So we're going to go through a SWOT analysis. Now, the SWOT analysis is a tad bit different because, one, I'm inserting a little bit of psychology into it, but also because at the end of the day, I want you to have the hand-holding, right, that is going to be necessary for you to get this done in the most conducive way. Now, as we get started, I want to bring up something very important, right? I'm going to be running through one with you in a hypothetical, but obviously you're going to fill it out on your own. It's not lack of money. It's lack of a creative idea. If you haven't gotten the email from me by now, I talked to you about how I partnered up with some cool people. We launched a coffee in beta, and before even getting to public, we're now in Times Square. Why is that? Why is this coffee that I'm putting together in a billboard in Times Square, in a billboard in Las Vegas, written about in Forbes, etc., etc.? How? Right? It's not because I sat there and had a shit ton of money to put into it, to get it out there and pay for PR. No, it was a creative idea. And part of the Change the Game Challenge, this is a mini course of that, but part of the Change the Game Challenge is getting into that. It's getting into, who are you serving? And why I bring this up here is because in terms of you, right, having breakthroughs constantly, it's really just about getting down to the nitty-gritty, the brass tacks. And of course, as I mentioned to you before, emotion is the fuel. And that's another cool thing that we'll get into. And you'll see why I said it's a little bit different. And of course, if your emotion's strong enough, you can see yourself through anything. And the results are unlimited. So for this exercise, as I repeated before, if you bullshit me, you only BS yourself. So we're going to get right into this one. Now, the last one we went over this one, or again, right, starting with Y. I ran you through a sample. Is going to be very similar to that here. So, SWOT analysis, if you've never seen one, this is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's auditing what you have, what resources, etc. And if you have seen this, and you've probably done one of these before, then you're going to notice there's a little bit of a spin. Now, as you're filling out a strength and weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis, I want you, right? So I actually highlighted a few of them right here. So there's strengths and then my strengths, right? So I filled this out based on someone that I recently did this with face to face. Well, I should say Skype to Skype. But anywho, here's the thing. When it comes to strengths, right? So when it comes here, this is the business side, right? And then here is the personal side. I don't know why I didn't do this one in bold either. Anywho, so rule of thumb. See how here I actually filled it out for you. We have blank resources available. We have blank top yada yada yada. So rule of thumb is, in terms of how you're going to fill this out, is if you were to be partnering selling your business. By the way, that thing you just saw, I love that, man. It's called Grammarly. I'll include a link for it too. It's freaking awesome. Especially for me, I'm like typing all day. So, with someone selling your business. So, in a hypothetical, it'd be like, hi, blank, I'm going to partner up with you. What are you bringing to the table? So the question is like that. What are you bringing to... See, I did it again. Oh, Grammarly, save me. Okay, what are you bringing to the table? So, you would say, okay, I have pioneers in the industry. I have networks and celebrity, blah, blah. I have community resources. So, this is actually one that we did with someone. Mind you, when we started, he started with, when I said, what are your strengths? Before I even said anything else, he's like, oh, I'm ambitious. I'm blah, blah. Oh, I can sell anything. Cool, I said, yes. So then when I rephrased it, we got down to the nitty gritty because at the end of the day, the meeting was about leverage. It was about getting him through his breakthrough. It was about getting him to the next step, right? So we sat somewhere quiet, away from anyone. We didn't want anyone distracting him or anything like that. And we ultimately started, so he started, shouting out. Shouting out certain things like, oh, I have a friend that works in the city council and attorney generals, blah, blah. Oh, shit. I said, look, you have local community resources. He also happens to work with some activists. Yes. He then tells me that he has a very, very close childhood friend of his that works with Silicon Valley and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to, obviously, I'm not going to divulge all of his information. So, cool, look, you have access to industry experts. I have friends in high places and so on. So, there are your strengths. So, when you're filling this out, this is what you want right here. You want to, this is your rule of thumb. This is how you fill out this side. Okay? Now, I'm going to copy this here because when it comes to your strengths, your personal side, if you were to be partnering up, oops, here you go, or selling your services, what are you bringing to the table? So, if I'm talking to you, I'm like, hey, we're going to partner up on a kick-ass project, all right? Or you're putting together an offering and you want to highlight your strengths, right? You're not going to tell me, I'm the best, hair cutter or real estate broker because I'm ambitious. Cool, so is everyone else. What makes you different, okay? And what are you bringing to the table? Why should I hire you? Why should I partner with you? Why should I buy your service? That's how you fill this part up. So for this guy, we found out he was a connector. He made a great brand ambassador because he loved to hype things up and share that with people. We found out he was very creative because he always added a little remix, right? Like that DJ effect is what I like to call it. Is like I will meet people that will take something, pretty plain Jane, and they have this amazing ability to add something extra to it, to say it a different way, to add some different splashes of color, like an artist. And all of a sudden, it's this new thing. It's beautiful. It's even seen as different. So we found that with him, and he did play well with others. This guy was someone that I discovered that I can say, hey, I need this. And he would literally tell me, I don't know what that is, but let me get you someone. So he was a team player, which, as you see here, is why he was a great connector. So this is how you fill out that side. So I'm going to going with what we're going here. Weaknesses, right? So as you notice, the same thing here is weakness, and then my weaknesses are, right? It's going to go the same way. So in this rule of thumb, I'm going to move this down a little bit more. We're going to play this a different way. Okay. Here you go. What do you need me? Gotcha. Okay. So this is how you fill out this part. So if you were saying to me, so my name is Catriel, my friends call me Cat or Carlito, right? So if you're saying Cat, I'm going to do X. I currently lack blank resources. I put here, I gave you some examples. You know what? I noticed our turnaround time is like 3 days longer than that company. I don't have enough experts in this, that, the third. Those would be how you would fill out your weaknesses. So again, rule of thumb, if you were to be partnering up with someone or looking for a partner or looking for an investor, I hate investors, so I didn't even bother putting that in there. But if you are, if that's your thing, great. That's your thing. What do you need them to bring to the table? And that's why I ask it that way. It's very specific, is because a weakness is not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for you to have someone better than you fill that void. Okay? Again, we're not going by scarcity mindset here. So, in talking with this person, this is what we found out. This is what they would need someone like myself or their partner to bring to the table. Branding. We need branding. I remember him saying, he's like, I kind of get it, but I don't. I think I read an article, but I don't really know how to continue, yada, yada. And that's fine. I said, cool. Communication can use improvement across the board. That was something that we came up with. So as you can see here, this is how you would structure. So even if your career, even if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're an entrepreneur, founder, CEO, it doesn't matter. This all pertains to you. And that's actually why I put it down here, right? My weaknesses and whatever. So because this one right here is business and career. And then this one is personal, right? And we could put skills too, because it's the same shit. Excuse me. So I want you to take a few seconds, and I want you to start filling out. Since we went through the first one together, on this one, you can actually press pause, but I'm also going to press pause. And I'm going to give you 2-3 minutes. Fill out like the first 1 or 2 that come to mind. All right, I think that's enough time, right? Okay, so here we go. Weaknesses, right? Again, I'm going to repeat it again. What do you need someone to bring to the table is the main question. Now, when it comes to the personal side, right? I should probably rephrase this question. But again, it still kind of goes with the theme of if you were partnering up with someone. But this one, I think it more... Here you go. Sorry. I gave you guys the wrong one. My apologies for that one. So, there you go. This makes more sense. If you were partnering up with someone, I don't know if it was selling your services. You know what? Yes. Let's go with that one. I apologize. Yes. So, on the personal side, right? Please set all of those other questions aside. I want you to quiet your mind real quick, because here's where we start to have a little more fun, at least for me. So if you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. Now this is the one. That's also why I said I kind of took a pause here, because this is when I start to get the most resistance as I sit with someone. So I'll say, "Give me your weaknesses." I don't have any, or they'll say something that's very just protective. So as I said to you before, bitch and you shall receive is usually what people think. Limiting beliefs, right? This is where it starts to get a little fun. So when you're putting down your weaknesses, right? Well, notice how I still kept the same question. What are you bringing to the table? The reason is because a lot of times, and this causes a lot of problems in businesses, is where someone will say, oh, I can bring this to the table, I can bring that to the table, or into the partnership, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden things aren't working. And then there's a blame game, and people are getting pissed off, and investors are losing money. Well, this is why being honest with yourself at this part is going to save you a lot of headaches. So with, as I meant, usually here, this person told me, hey, branding is my weakness. Well, we put this here. They're not strong in branding. Okay? And this is all about working in reverse, by the way. Because what we did with him here, when it came to this all started with, what are you looking to achieve? Right? And then, we touched on the start with why exercise. And then we worked in reverse. So if you're still feeling a little stuck as we're going through this, I want you to work in reverse. I want you to first set bigger goals but less. Okay? As I mentioned to you in the mental priming, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I kind of just want to mention that now so that you see where we're going with this. So anywho, when it comes to your weaknesses, you're really going to come down and have to get to brass tacks, because if you want to achieve, I don't know, $100,000 a year by the end of the year, well, what does that look like? That means I have to run this way, I have to run that way, I have to achieve this, I have to network with this person, I have to achieve this many sales. Well, what does that look like? Right? Working in reverse, right? Well, that means I have to have a system, yada, yada. Can you run the system? Yeah, maybe I'll have a weaknesses because I'm unorganized. My sales, blah, 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 because my follow-up. You see? This is where your weaknesses come in, because guess what? Remember, as I said, weakness is not a bad thing. It's an opportunity. So in this hypothetical, I guess to give you the benefit of being honest with yourself is, if you're not strong in branding, then cool. You can watch a course. Watch or take a course, right? This is not really part of it. I'm just kind of going into it because this is part of the convo that I usually will have with people. My follow-up is asking, cool, you can outsource to a salesperson, right? Boom. There it goes Grammarly again. Anywho, moving on. Opportunities. This one's usually everyone's favorite. No one ever is like, oh, I don't like this one. This was uncomfortable. So the rule of thumb is opportunities. What would you bring to the table? So in opportunities, you know what? Let me just go and make it easier for myself. There you go. Okay. Anywho, so in opportunities, as it was up again. Now this one is a little bit different than the strengths. You notice that I scrolled up here to strengths, right? To grab this one. So strengths are your strengths. That's your forte. For example, me, neuromarketing, consumer behavior. Those would be considered my strengths. Now opportunities, what does that translate to? So I'll give you a perfect example. If I were doing this, my strengths, one of my strengths, when it came to, let's say, the personal side, was neuromarketing, right? Consumer behavior, whatever. Strengths in businesses. I would say, I have access to my network. I have access to subject matter experts, whatever. What does that translate to? So when it comes to opportunities, here you go. What would your strengths translate to? I.e., what would you bring to the table? So, here we go. With this person is it would translate into a network for distribution. Access to notable figures, brand alignment. Now, in the example that I gave you about myself, neuromarketing and consumer behavior, one of the opportunities that I would give someone I work with is brand positioning, right? Industry leadership. And this is exactly how it works with my meetings. Like if I'm sitting down with a meeting with a potential partner or client and we're going over their wants, needs, yada, yada, this is exactly what we're talking about. I can say, hey, because of this, I can work on brand positioning. I can work on industry leadership. I can, my favorite, build a growth team. God, I'm really bad at this typing thing. Build a growth team, right? So that's what it looks like. So for you, let's play around. Let's say one of your strengths was also you're a connector and brand ambassador and you have networks, right? So opportunities for you would be, okay, I have a network for distro and influencers and content. I don't know, some shit like that. Perfect example. I have someone right now that took the Change the Game challenge. He's a registered nurse, and I forgot this other type really high up. But he's also a certified nutritionist, and he also has this sort of residency where he has access to subject matter experts, right? What does that translate to opportunities? Is industry credentials and social proof, right? So that's what you're gonna do. Special mention, one of the guys that just signed on for the challenge, a guy named Carlos. He works for a very, very notable auto dealership that sells high-end brands, right? Strengths, et cetera, et cetera. What does that translate to? Like he wants to do something where it's along like the green energy, right? Well, what do we bring to the table is, okay, he has access to middle income. Let's put middle and high. When he watches this, he's gonna be like, "What?" Access to middle and high income individuals. That would be one of his opportunities that he can sit here and take note of. Okay. Alrighty then, let's keep it moving. Now, notice if you haven't noticed, then one thing I did different. I put weaknesses, business, career. They're here. So opportunities, business and career. Now this one, oops, why did I delete that? Hobbies. I should probably do a whole other course just on this one alone. Hobbies are, man, they're amazing. I learned over the course of the years that hobbies are amazing in so many more ways, so much more ways that I can express in this video alone, because they are your opportunities to sharpen your personal skills, business skills, acumen, brain power. I can go on and on. As I said, I can literally. So here's the thing: when it comes to this one, right? This, and as I said to you before, everything rhymes, right? And I'm going to give you a very real example of this. I'm currently working with someone, and he is in the finance space, right? He's in the finance space. Well, I'm sorry, he was in the finance space. He is now kind of digging into the startup Silicon Valley scene. Now, he admits his industry of number crunching, etc., is not sexy, right? But one of his hobbies is skiing and water skiing, and I forgot the third one, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to say is the two that he really loves, like passionately, skiing and water skiing. He picked up the skiing because he said, well, my company kind of sent us, and that's what we did. The water skiing is one that he picked up because he personally loved it. Guess what we're working right now on? We're working on hey, we're going to get 10 or 11 of us, and we're all going to go water skiing, and we're going to make a day of it. But guess who he's inviting? He's inviting his network. This is a chance for him to bond with his network, make new connections, because those people tend to bring someone. He likes to keep, well, we're keeping it at that number because it's giving him the ability to give them the freedom to invite someone else. Now, if you're overworked and overstressed and you're like, Kat, no, I don't have fucking time for hobbies. I don't have the money. Guess what? There are other sorts of hobbies. There's music, there's food, there's dancing, wellness, healing. And the thing is that around these hobbies, you meet other people. And I remember I said to you before, emotion is so powerful. Well, guess what? One of my hobbies is music. English is not my first language. I actually learned what helped me learn English so quickly was, as a child, I learned the violin. Now, if that's funny to you, I laugh sometimes about it too now that I'm older. But being exposed to that environment exposed me to different people, and even now as an adult, right? There was a deal that I was working on in Sacramento. This dude from Sacramento, and just the most stuck-up guy that I've ever come across. I was actually just ready to walk away. It did not make sense to me. I said, "Fuck this! This guy's a stuck-up snob. Not worth it." And I forgot how it was that he even came about it. But anywho, in an email, he emails me like 2-3 days later after I said, "I don't think it's a good fit. I wish you well, yada yada." He emails me and he emails me 2-3 days later and tells me that his partner, right? His partner and her wife remembered my name. How did they remember my name? They remember my name because she was my instructor. Now, of course, this is super serendipitous. It's not going to happen to all of you. But what I'm saying is, the way he perceived me went from, you're just the little shit who thinks he knows everything, I don't want to hear what you have to say, to, wait, whoa, we have something in common. And then we both find, and then obviously as we continue the convo, we find out we're both huge sailing fans. Boom, next thing, right? So what I'm trying to say is that these hobbies not only help you exercise your brain, they also become connectors. Now, again, I said before, if you're overworked, overstressed, look, that's fine. The thing is that what you're also overlooking is that hobbies are great for stress. I'll give you a great example. I know it's not the best example, but when I was in the military, when we were overseas or we were deployed, I I got into chess, and it's, again, by now you're noticing the things that I'm into. They're pretty nerdy, right? But anywho, I got into chess, and one of the guys that I was playing chess with, a very old school German guy, he owned a barbershop, and he was very much into like polishing shoes and, using straight razors, all that old school stuff, right? Well, anywho, I'm bringing this up because in my time playing with him, sometimes he was busy, but chess was how he relieved stress. So he told me, well, this is how I relieve my stress. I own a barbershop. I do this, and I also happen to do, he worked with leather and upholstery. At the time, my biggest stress reliever was cooking. I love cooking. I actually owned a pizzeria in Brooklyn. So I shared that with him. And long story short is, my family actually does business with him now. And one thing that I've learned being around a lot of old money is that hobbies is the connector. It's the glue, because I don't know about you, but if you work in an office, if you work at a company, odds are you probably hate your coworkers. I don't hate any of my coworkers. I don't work in an office. I'm an entrepreneur. But why don't I hate any of them? Because I actually hang out with them. A lot of the people I work with are my friends. A lot of the people I work with, I will invite them over to my place. They will stay with me. I will stay with them. I can go to a number of countries and cities and have somewhere to stay and have a great time. Why? Because what ties us together is our hobbies. It doesn't have to be sailing. It doesn't have to be flying. It can literally be something as simple as, I love to cook. Let's all go out and cook. Let's all have a cookout. Let's all do a barbecue. Dancing. I actually have a good buddy of mine. I love this guy. He dances and choreographs a lot of the sets for The Lion King in Broadway. How did we get together? How are we buddies? Because I love to go out and dance. And I met him. We hit it off. We have friends in common now, etc., and so on and so on. But guess what? When I'm in town or he's in town, guess who's looking up who? Guess who's hanging out? Guess who's helping each other out? So I really would love for you, and I want to challenge you to go out there and find out what hobbies are. In fact, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, by the way, this is really how just random it is. I'm going to go ahead and put together some hobbies, and I'm going to include them. They're actually going to be above or below. But anyway, I will go ahead and include some hobbies for you to go out and just a list of them. Try them out. See what you think. But without further ado, let's move on. Threats. Okay, here we go again with business and career. I talked a little bit too long about that one. I love hobbies, and it's been a huge, huge, huge way that someone. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and say this. The reason that I really love sharing about hobbies and its benefits is because I had a lot of the odds stacked against me, guys. Seriously. I mean, just growing up in Brooklyn, not to play the violin here, pun intended, but, growing up where I grew up, growing up socioeconomically where I was, being brown, not speaking English, these are all things that work against you. And it was very interesting because even my mentor that I met, Victor, the reason that we really hit it off was because of my hobbies. Literally, our interest. To him, it seemed interesting and it was intriguing that a kid my age was interested in those things. And he took me under his wing. And a lot of what I have today and a lot of what I know today, I owe to that man. In fact, I'm actually going to be dedicating a huge part of my upcoming book to him. So, threats, business and career, right? Rule of thumb. Now, this one is going to be a little, I'm going to play around with this one a little bit because I want to make this as helpful to you as possible. And I don't know if you've noticed by now, this is not a lot like a lot of other programs out there. It's very interactive, and I want to hear your feedback, which I will insert a reminder here. Should you get stuck, you're free to email me. In fact, here's my email address. All right, and subject, just so that I know, tell me the course that you took. In this case, it would be UInc. And if you did the challenge, it'd be challenge. Okay? You're free to contact me. I'm happy to help. In fact, this is why I do this. I love to see you guys really get out there and do make a difference. So when it comes to threats, okay. Now, I did put here our competitors are, and it's mostly just because that's how people think. And I wanted to translate how I see things to how people speak. But it really comes down to here. And their competition, I don't really consider anyone competition, but again, this is all about to make things more relatable, etc. This is really where I'm at. This project would fail. Okay? So the rule of thumb is actually this. If this were to fail, it would be because of all right? So this is how you're going to fill out this part. Now, again, I put business and career because it doesn't matter if you have a job or you have a business. Here's the thing. Rule of thumb. If this were to fail, it would be because of, now in this case, this guy was price point. So let's say we're going to go to both because I don't want to assume. Maybe you have a job and you have a side hustle, right? Which, by the way, that's pretty fucking badass. Kudos to you. Anywho, so if this were to fail, why would it fail? One could be price. And this is a common one that I see, or that I hear, I should say. Resources. I don't have enough resources, Kat. They don't. Whoa, what does that mean? I'm actually doing this lifetime with you because I just did this last night with someone overseas. He tells me, him and his partner, he and her are telling me, well, we don't have resources, Kat. Cool. What are the resources? Why would it fail? Well, our resources are cash flow. Oh my God, I keep doing this. There you go, cash flow. Okay, why don't you have enough cash flow? Well, our sales are low. Why are your sales low? Our marketing is it's not performing well. And our social media is low. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit more. But see, these are the ways that I get this out of there. It's why. Why are resources low? Because cash flow. Why is cash flow low? Sales are low. Why are sales low? Marketing and advertising. Oh, here comes Grammarly. Anywho, social media is underperforming. Why is social media underperforming? We don't have the right people. And this is why I love asking why. I'm like, why? So these would be threats. And these are areas of opportunities as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I am a hippie like my family calls me, but I see these as beautiful things because, okay, this is where I lack. Why am I lacking there? Is it because my skills are not great? Is it because I don't have the right connections? Which, by the way, if I don't have the right connections, how do I keep my sanity, lower my stress, and get new people? Oh, hobbies. Okay, so areas that I love to improve in. All right, this is your personal side, right? Here you go. Oh, you know what? Let me just go back up here because it was already there. Personal skills, areas that I love to improve in. Now, this one, have fun with it. I mean, frankly, I've met people that would tell me stuff that they want to improve in, and I mean, I'm me, so I'm gonna like, why? Why would you want to do that? But again, as I say in Spanish, para los gustos existen los colores. Because of taste, colors exist. So knock yourself out. This is an opportunity for you to play with. So this is something that I'll talk to, and they tend to stick with the business side. But this is also, I put this in here because this was their shtick. Areas I love to improve in. This guy was like, I really love to improve in marketing. We later found out through more digging is that he actually thinks he enjoys it. So I said, fuck it, let's do it with it. And then personal skills was organizational skills, tech and time. That can be both beneficial for your business or your career. I don't actually know why that was there. Areas I love to improve in. So for you, right, if you're sitting here thinking areas I love to improve in, rule of thumb, what would... What would make every day more exciting for you? What would make things easier for you to accomplish? Okay? In fact, I've recently added this one. What would make you more interesting? And I recently did this one at a live event, and it was... I probably should have just done it one-on-one, but a few people were ballsy. They raised their hand. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll only go for it. And one person straight up said, "I want to. What would make me more interesting?" Sorry, that's it. What would make me more interesting? And the person told me, "Better looking, speak more languages," was his answer. I'm gonna call him Tim. And frankly, you know what's awesome? Better looking, cool. Pick up a hobby, fitness, health, cooking. So I want to speak more languages. He said, awesome. Let's solve that. Hobby, languages. Learning new languages is actually a hobby. And you get to meet people. There's some really good stuff on Meetup.com. Meetup.com is also an app. You can meet up people, go out to dinner. And frankly, actually, I pick on him specifically because he did it and he ended up meeting his girlfriend. He joined some meetup thing for Spanish, and he now goes. They basically, it's a meetup crew, and they meet up every Thursday, and they have wine and food, and they go to different types of Latin restaurants, and boom, he met his girlfriend. So when it comes to this, areas that I love to improve in, again, this is, notice I said here threats, right? Notice how the personal one was areas I love to improve in. There you go. This was literally my spin on it, is because, all right, instead of what's wrong with you, it's like, hey, what would you really love to make you more interesting? What would you love to accomplish or to tackle, to learn that would make things easier for you to accomplish? For me, I'll share a personal one with you, is teach online. I teach in person. I am a person that can do a stage. I can do a team training because you're right in front of me. I can see your reaction. The reason I mention that is I am an actual certified body language expert and lie detection expert from my time in the military. So when I'm teaching something or sharing something on stage or sharing something in a team setting, I can see it on your face. So anywho, for me, teaching online like this has been such an awesome experience because I'm so out of my element that it's fun and it's become a new excitement for me. And it's actually why even you, for example, if you're watching the challenge, if you're part of the challenge and you're watching this, this is an update. if you've never taken the challenge and you joined the You Incorporated, what you're watching is me taking the feedback from those that came to me with a bunch of questions and say, you know what, let me put this together for them. So again, this is areas that I personally wanted to improve in. Was I wanted to be able to teach online better, because again, if I'm teaching in a college, right, I'm teaching kids that are not that much younger than I, so I have to adapt so that they can help themselves and not sit there and think, well, this guy's literally like a few years older than me. If I have to teach on stage, I have to learn to speak to multiple people at the same time, and so on and so on and so on. So I want you to definitely take the opportunity to challenge yourself there and just say, hey, look, I want to, and be honest. If you want to be better looking, if you want to speak more languages, you want to learn time management, go for it. And I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to, just doing this with you now made me think, I'm going to go ahead and include some hobbies above this. And I'm also going to be sharing some personal resources that I like to use. I hope that they do help you to get things done. So again, this is the end of this. This was fun for me. I hope it was for you. And we're going to be moving on to the next step, which is going to be the Living My Best Life, and that is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's going to come full circle. Thank you so much for watching. See you at the next video.